it's turned out that basically half of Democratic voters are just insane tyrants. And we know this because Rasmussen have been just polling them. Now, Rasmussen is different to a lot of other polling companies, and I find them, they are the most reliable, in fact, from the last couple of elections, I've noticed, because they do telephone surveys, not just online surveys. So a lot of polling companies, they just do online surveys and therefore get disproportionate results. And so Rasmussen do like these wide-scale telephone surveys. And so they come back with some very interesting results. And if these are anything that are even vaguely representative, and in my personal experience of just dealing with Democrat voters on the internet, I've seen a lot of these opinions being expressed. And so I do think there is some measure of reality to them. So these polls were released on the 13th of January, so two weeks ago now, just over 2 weeks ago. And they're just insane. And they make the Democrats look insane. And so when you see those viral videos of the Karens screeching about masks or whatever it is, that whatever left-wing talking point it is that they're screeching about in a public place, these are the people that we're talking about, right? We can get actually quite a good cross-section of this particular part of the electorate, right? So it begins with just unbelievable measures that they want against unvaccinated people, right? A majority of Democrats embrace restrictive policies, including punitive measures against those who haven't gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. Of course they do. We all knew this, right? But this national telephone and online survey found that 48% of voters favor Biden's plan to impose COVID-19 vaccine mandate on employees of large companies and government agencies. And that includes 33% who strongly favor the mandate. And that's sort of third of the electorate. That's an important number. With 48% who are opposed to it, including 40% who strongly oppose it. So this is an incredibly polarized thing. So 33% strongly in favor, 40% strongly opposed. The mandate was dropped as unconstitutional because it was shot down by the Supreme Court, so that's good. But it just shows you the attitude towards these things, right? So when it comes to Anthony Fauci, 45% view Fauci favorably, including 28% who have a very favorable impression of him. 48% have an unfavorable opinion of him, including 34% with a very unfavorable view of him. So again, you can see very clearly the the dramatic partisan split between the Democrats and the Republicans. And thankfully, and honestly, right, I'm kind of pleased that the Republicans are more partisan at this point, because the Democrats have been playing this kind of savage partisan game for the last decade or so. And the Republicans took a long time to catch up to the idea that actually there's a kind of war being waged against republicanism in the United States. And it seems that a large number of the Republicans in the last couple of years have been like, right, war then. It's war. And it's like, good. Like Andrew Breitbart style. This is it. They are coming for everything about your country, and they've gone mad. Okay, you have to be aware of this, right? So 78% of Democrat voters support the Biden administration's COVID-19 plan, and 20% of Republicans and 41% of unaffiliated voters supported it. But many of the Democrats would support even harsher measures, including fines for Americans who won't get the vaccine and criminal punishment for vaccine critics.
What?
Right? This is what I mean. This is not a joke. These people are nuts, right? They want to turn your country into Australia. Sorry, Australians, but it's true.
Yep.
58% of voters would oppose a proposal for federal or state governments to fine Americans who choose not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Only 58%. That's concerning, isn't it?
Just a bit.
Like, that's a lot of Democrats who are in favor of it, is what this comes out as. 55% of Democrat voters would support such a proposal. So more than half of likely Democrat voters would support fining people who choose to operate their bodily autonomy.
That's just mental.
19% of Republicans supported it and 25% of unaffiliated voters. Honestly, though, 19% of Republicans support fining people who don't get the vaccine. That's concerning.
That is. I was about to say.
I mean, I expect tyranny from the Democrats, but come on, Republicans.
That's poor form, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you need to figure out who those people are.
Maybe they were called in a bad mood.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. 59% of Democrat voters would favour a government policy requiring that citizens remain confined to their homes at all times, except in emergencies, if they refuse to get the vaccine.
So nearly 60% of Democratic voters would actually put the citizens under house arrest.
Yes.
Most
Democrat voters would do that.
For not taking a vaccine.
Yes. Doesn't the vaccine protect you, Democrats? What
are you saying that it doesn't work?
Yeah. Exactly. What are you so scared of?
Can't you sell some YouTube?
Such a proposal was opposed by 61% of all likely voters, including 79% of Republicans and 71% of unaffiliated. Again, there's 21% of Republicans who'd be in favour of that. That's concerning.
Yeah.
Don't know what's wrong with those people, but we do know what's wrong with Democrats. Nearly half, which is 48% of Democratic voters, think federal and state governments should be able to fine or imprison individuals who publicly question the efficacy of the existing COVID-19 vaccines on social media, television, radio, or online digital publications.
Are they not trying to resurrect Robespierre from the dead here?
Something of that. Yeah, I mean, like the question didn't say should they be guillotined, but I mean, I don't.
Would you put it past them?
No, we're just not there yet.
Not
right?
yet.
But that's questioning the efficacy of the vaccines on social media or in public, basically. That is mad. That is absolutely mad. That's basically a quarter of your country are Nazis, like actual Nazis.
So half of Democrats want to bring back heresy laws, basically.
Yes. Yeah. You can't speak out against the regime, is what they're saying. Only 27% of all voters, which is 14% of Republicans and 18% of unaffiliated, favoured criminal punishment of vaccine critics. Imagine that. Criminal punishment of vaccine critics. And half the Democrats are like, yeah. No, that's evil. 45% of Democrats would favour governments requiring citizens to temporarily live in designated facilities or locations if they refuse to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Sorry, half of the Democrats nearly want COVID camps. Concentration camps for people who won't get vaccinated.
How progressive.
I mean, it's not the first time that the left has done this, is it?
No.
Anyway, such policy would be opposed by a strong majority of all voters, with 78% of Republicans and 64% of unaffiliated saying they would strongly oppose putting unvaccinated in designated facilities. I'm hoping that the remaining 22% of Republicans are just like, well, mildly oppose. At least that's strongly opposed. So at least most Americans are against Nazi camps. Right, that's breaking news, right? Democrats, you might want to pay attention to this. While 2/3, 66% of likely voters would be against the governments using digital devices to track unvaccinated people to ensure they are quarantined or socially distancing from others, 47% of Democrats would favour a government tracking program for those who won't get the COVID-19 vaccine. Got your microchips? Bill Gates has gotten probably. No, I don't know. I'm making that up. But the point is, the Democrats would be in favour of it if he did. Like half of them, nearly, would be in favour of it. China-style social credit. This is mad. This is insane. This is what's happened with the Democratic Party because of the constant media fear-mongering of COVID. And they're watching the talking heads and they're like, oh my God, they're right. We're all going to die if we don't tyrannise these unvaccinated Untermensch. Evil. So how far are the Democrats willing to go in punishing the unvaccinated? 29% of Democratic voters, so nearly a third, would support temporarily removing parents' custody of their children if parents refuse to take the vaccine.
That is unbelievable.
This is mad. These people are insane. That's more than twice the level of support in the rest of the electorate. 7% of Republicans and 11% of unaffiliated voters for such a policy. Again, where are those 7% of Republicans? I am concerned that there's even one that would support that, but
you do have to wonder, like, what the hell are you doing in America? The land, like, seriously.
Yeah, why are you living there? You should be in China.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the one part of the world that actually permits these sorts of policies. Well, yes. they've had it enforced for decades, the one-child policy.
Yep. Yeah. And again, it obviously comes from the premise that you own your children and not the state, whereas the Democrats believe the state owns your children and not you. And
yes.
I won't go into it now, but you've seen many, many, many examples of Democrat politicians saying, well, we need to break the idea that parents think they own their children. It's like, okay, face the wall now, okay? Like, you do not own my kids. Anyway, Biden's strongest supporters are most likely to endorse the harshest punishments against those who won't get the COVID-19 vaccine. Look at his rhetoric. Who's surprised? Who's surprised that his constituency are the ones who are the most tyrannical? Among voters who have a very favourable impression of Biden, 51% are in favour of the government putting the unvaccinated in designated facilities.
Over half.
And 54% favour imposing fines or prison sentences on vaccine critics. So Biden is basically leading a Nazi army.
There's no other way of putting it, is there? No other way of putting it.
That is a quarter of your electorate are hardcore Nazis because of Biden's extreme rhetoric and the extreme grooming of the press into this worldview where either you're vaccinated or you're destroying everything. Right? It's mental. By contrast, among voters who have a very unfavourable view of Biden, 95% are against of designated facilities for the unvaccinated, and 93% are against criminal punishment for vaccine critics. The ideological division could not be more stark, could it? Like the people who believe that the state grants you your rights and therefore can take them away from you are the Biden supporters, which is about 25%, and they're insane. And then everyone else who believes your rights are inalienable and inherent to you disagree. Like this is a great series of polls that Rasmussen has done to really highlight this stark ideological division. So thank God Biden is deeply unpopular is basically my conclusion from this. And we go to the next one. As you can see from the daily presidential tracking poll that Rasmussen have, you can go down a bit. You can see the graph. When this was last taken was the 1st of February, so like yesterday, I think it was. No, the day before. So Trump was at 45% approval at this time, same time in 2018, whereas Biden's at 39% approval. And we actually know now who supports Biden, actual Nazis. 19% strongly approve of him. If you can scroll on to the next one, 49% strongly disapprove. Like strongly approve versus strongly disapprove. That's not good.
Nope.
Like it's really bad. And these tracking results are done by telephone surveys. So it's not just self-reported. So they actually phone people up and get them, ask them if they do it, blah, blah. And interestingly, most voters actually think that the media are the enemy of the people.
Why could they possibly think that?
58% of likely voters think that the media are the enemy of the people. What a shock. This is, again, a telephone survey with 36% not agreeing, including that 23% who strongly disagree. Again, this sort of number, the quarter of people who have been essentially the CNN, MSNBC audience that have been groomed by the media into being little cultists for Biden's little Nazi cult. And those, again, about a quarter of the country, about half the Democratic base. And these people are really a problem. And it is radicalizing people with the COVID coverage. We can go to the next one. They did another survey. They found only 10% of American adults rate media coverage of the ongoing coronavirus as excellent, and another 25% of it rate it as good. So there we go. That sort of 35% area and you've got the 10% who are like really radical, like the party apparatchiks. But there we go. Then obviously everyone else thinks it's crap. So there we go.
That's probably the most encouraging statistic that's come out so far, if anything.
But still, a third of the country think it was good coverage, where it was actually deeply abusive coverage. And these, of course, are sort of like this. This is and the reason I think that we can consistently put this 25% as a consistent body of people is because we know what their opinions are. Like these hardcore Biden supporters who want COVID camps, what are their opinions on climate change?
That it's absolutely happening, and
it's a catastrophe that's going to wipe out life on Earth.
That's already doing it. Yes.
Yeah. If we can go to the next one, this is what like a third of American adults think that this winter has been worse than ever before, and most people saying no, this winter is not worse. Well, we know that these are going to be the climate change loons. We know how these people have been radicalized. It's all the set narrative, the same package of things. They believe in your pronouns. They believe trans women are women. They believe all of these progressive talking points. They're all packaged together. And Biden represents them all. Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. And they're all in this like little clique that everyone is well aware of now. And thankfully, most voters think that the Democrats are radical lunatics.
Well, that's reassuring.
It is, isn't it? I think in the next one, you can see that everyone thinks they're far too liberal.
Too liberal.
Yes, as in they've gone far too far to the left. Another survey found that 55% of likely US voters believe Democrats in Congress are too liberal on most issues. 16% think the Democrats are too moderate, while
too moderate?
Which is hilarious. I mean,
where's the moderation?
Yeah, exactly. What moderation?
You're literally advocating for putting people into camps.
I mean,
what's moderate about that?
Yeah, we did a segment the other day where Biden is basically getting chewed out by people like, look, you don't have a mandate to radically change the country. And 16% like, yeah, he does. But obviously, 20% think their policies are about right. But of course, the rest are like, you're nuts. Please stop. And of course, there's about a quarter to a third of the electorate who think the US is heading in the right direction. Guess who they might be?
I wonder.
Yeah, exactly. 29% of likely US voters think the country is heading in the right direction, which means that more than 2/3 are saying no. This radical quarter of the electorate is dragging the US into hell. And that's what everyone else is thinking. And half of the people already want Biden impeached. don't actually know over
that
what.
is actually pretty radical.
Yeah, that's actually, this is
Yeah.
how much Biden has pissed off.
It's one thing saying he's 50% think he's doing a bad job.
Yeah.
50% supporting the idea of him being impeached is
Yeah.
quite wow.
And the things, they're not even accusing him of a crime. Like, they're not even, because with Trump, it was like, oh, he did something, therefore impeach, right? And that was the narrative to drum up. But like, nobody's saying, like, none of the Republicans are saying, Joe Biden did this is unacceptable, he must be impeached. No, there's just people on their own just being like, because the impeachment isn't a narrative that the Republican talking heads are promoting. It's just people are just sick of him. I just want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like, that's 50% of likely voters want him impeached. Only 33% strongly oppose it. And what's really interesting, just to finish this off, is that this is causing a large number of the non-radical Democrats to start watching media outside of their own bubbles, which thank God for people like Tucker Carlson existing, because it turns out that Tucker Carlson, he is more popular with the Democrats than any self-professed Democratic talking head.
Really?
Yes.
That is extraordinary.
It's hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So they aged they surveyed the demo aged viewers, which is 25 to 55 or something. 39% chose Fox News of the Democrats. These people self-identify as Democrats. 39% of them chose Fox News. So nearly half of them watch Fox. 31% chose MSNBC. 30% chose CNN. So like.
You know what? I can actually believe this to a degree.
I know.
Because, look, I mean, David Icke is a bit, shall we say, suspect on several things. One thing he said about news coverage was absolutely true. It's just 10 or 15 years ago, we would be criticising Fox News in the precise way that we can criticise CNN now. Yeah. But now the polls have completely reversed. As in the actual counterweight to the madness of to Washington's madness is now Fox News, and CNN is in bed with Washington.
Honestly, I remember back when I first started on YouTube using Fox News as the benchmark for what was fake news. But no one had the term at the time, partisan news. But now, I mean, like I watch all of these things. Of course, I have to watch CNN, I have to watch MSNBC, and Fox News, especially Tucker Carlson, just come across as the most level-headed of all of them. And because they're not radicals, that's the thing. At the very, they might be saying falsehoods or whatever, exaggerating things, but they're at least not saying we need to overthrow the United States. And so. Just to finish off, in the total day viewership, Fox News grabbed 42% of Democrats aged 25 to 54, whereas CNN got 33 and MSNBC got 25.
25?
Tucker Carlson was top among Democrats in the demo across all of cable news in the month that they were monitoring, and ranked third among Dems in total viewership too. Right. And that's not including the other Fox News shows. It's just Tucker Carlson. So even Democrats are not watching their own radical talking heads.
I'm amazed that MSNBC is that low, 25%.
It's literally like 1 million viewers.
Just the nutters are watching MSNBC.
Yeah. So yeah, they're insane.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, the one that went up over the weekend from Josh, being the culture and politics of Scotland. So if you want to find that, go and check that out. And also, if you want to follow Josh, you can follow him on Getter here at @Josh_firm. Thank you and goodbye.